as I said to several people this morning, one is I'd like to thank everybody for coming out this morning. There's a lot of people here. There's a lot of people here I'd like to try to thank. I'm not going to try to name everybody because I would certainly miss several names, but there's, you know, a great representation from the county council who was very much involved, the county executive's office who was very much involved, the Department of Planning who was very much involved, the village board, the community leaders, the tenants. There was nobody that was lacking their involvement in this process. But I have to tell everybody that from when we started this process 5.5 years ago, you know, I was talking to Bill Santos just a minute ago, and I told him I got 2 kids through college. But he was able to top that because he then said he had 2 kids during that same time. So, with that, I kept talking about this was a marathon, it wasn't a sprint, so I couldn't top that piece. So, it's exciting to be here. You know, we couldn't have done it without everybody's involvement. Kimco's desire to figure out as a team effort how to make and how to reinvent the Village Center. The Village Center that was created 45 years ago by Jim Rouse here, this being the first one. It was important to figure out how to recreate it and how to make it better for the next 40 years. After that, I have no idea what this Village Center is going to look like. And it will be somebody else that's going to redevelop this project. But I do say that with, I've met a lot of very interesting people through this process, and it has been one that we're very excited to wind up creating what we think is the next vision for this Village Center. With that, we're going to wind up creating something that we think is better than sits here today. The market trends have changed. We had to, as Kimco, understand how other things within Howard County and Columbia have modified what's happening in downtown, what's happening on 175, what's happening with the growth from the community college, the strength of having the high school, middle school right here, the interfaith, the swim center, having the hospital right behind us, our proximity to downtown. You know, how do we create something here that's going to be very vibrant for the next 40 years? And what we really have created, and one thing that happened from probably my first meeting I had with the village board and with the county executive, one constant theme that happened here was making sure that this place remained the gathering place for the village of Wilde Lake. That was the biggest fear throughout this process, that there wouldn't be a place for the village residents to gather. With that said, by us, when Giant did leave, the Village Center, when it's complete, the courtyard that everybody loves here so much and has some great historic trees will get completely redone, saving the key trees. But we are going to be increasing the courtyard itself by about 20% of square footage, so it will be even a larger place for people within the village to gather. We then felt that we needed to bring some new life and new activity. The key piece there that certainly had the most debate going on was adding the residential component. The residential component, which after everybody did get comfortable, we're now going to be constructing under Wood Partners here a project that is going to have approximately 250 residential units, market rate housing. We're very excited. Their product, they have a recently opened product in Ellicott City that I think everybody would be very proud to see within this village center. We are. And you know, it was important because of Kimco's involvement throughout Columbia and the numerous villages. We wanted to make sure whatever we did here starts at least a proper dialogue in any other villages and how to retain them. So sometimes it might be residential, sometimes it might be more retail, sometimes it might be office, it might be a hotel. Each village has to evaluate, and this whole process has kicked off every single village into master planning. And I think it's probably beneficial that probably got a lot of people off dead center to know what they were going to be doing and start thinking about what the future is going to look like. Besides that residential, the other component that we're very excited here is we're now taking what David's Market has evolved here year after year, has grown, has taken over one retail space after another. We're now sitting inside David's new market right now. The old Produce Galore will be coming down, and a much larger footprint for David's to give the consumer a lot more choices in the natural food products. An outside cafe will be here, and some additional offices will be above it. So we're quite excited about having David's here, committed for a long term to be part of this village and part of the new redevelopment. The other component that we're in the process that has been public and we've signed and committed our lease now is on the old Crown Station. Later in 2014, we'll be taking control over that, and we'll be getting that ready for a CVS. That might be later this year, early next year. We'll be getting that ready for the new CVS. And this project is going to go on for probably the next 18 months, 24 months. The first new retail buildings we expect to be opening up early in 2014. But this is going to be a phased project because we still have, a lot of retailers that are operating, office users that are operating here. So we're going to have to be phasing this project throughout, keeping enough parking open for them to get their customers in. The melting pot, today's catch is relocating. Numerous retailers that are staying. I see that Tony has joined us this morning. He's been here from the beginning of this village center. We're excited that he's still here working it, and excited to be part of the future of this. With that, we are grateful that we wound up having very close discussions early on with all the village board members, all the community players, and the county executive's office. And it was always, from the outset, important that this village center stays and gets retained. And from the very early days when Ken Ulman was elected in as county executive, this was one of the first projects we discussed. Long time ago. But we've got it. As I've said, this is a marathon, and we're in the final stretch of the construction period. And I've got Ken here, who has led a lot of this process and got great support from his staff for us to accomplish what we've accomplished today. So, Ken, if you've got a few minutes.
I want to thank Jeff. Thank you for all that you've done to get us to this point. All the other folks, Tom and the team from Kimco, Kevin, thank you for investing in Howard County and reinvesting in this center. I was thinking as we were talking, I also want to thank Marcia McLaughlin, head of planning and zoning, and Jessica Feldmark, my chief of staff, and Gina Clay, and so many others who are here on our team who worked so hard to make sure we did our best to get this right. I was thinking as you were talking, and I was talking to Courtney Watson from the council before about just all the memories growing up in Columbia, playing in the courtyard, and while our parents were shopping, and I can remember all the stores, and my brother and I wondering when our mom was going to be done and we could go home, and but all the stops to Produce Galore and the fish market and Feet First and all the, and change is tough, and it's not easy. It's easy when I was sitting there thinking again, when Jim Rouse was and the team was laying out Columbia, it wasn't easy because it was a big vision to try to figure out how to put all the pieces together. But on some level, it was certainly a lot easier with control of all of the moving parts than the redevelopment phase that we're going through is. And so, change is hard for anyone, but that's the stage that we're in Howard County and certainly in Columbia. To democracy is a great thing. Sometimes it takes you a little longer than anybody wants to be able to make progress, but you get a better product because you talk to everyone, you include everyone, you create a process that, we have input and everyone gets their say. At the end of the day, we have to move on and we have to make the best decisions that we can. That's representative democracy. Things may not be perfect, but we listen to everyone and we make the best decisions moving forward. And I think I'm really excited that after a lot of community discussion, we have a plan that I think is a tremendous plan to redevelop, reinvigorate, reinvest in the historic Wilde Lake Village Center, the first village center in Columbia, and create its future in our time in a way that some other group, as Jeff said, 40, 50, 60 years ago from now can be standing here saying, now people shop in a different way than anyone would have thought. Now people live in a different way. How do we reinvest in our communities and make sure they continue to thrive? This is in the heart of so many exciting things happening. You mentioned the college and the hospital and the schools. Downtown, we need to make sure that as downtown Columbia redevelops, it redevelops in a way that is complementary and encourages the revitalization of the Wilde Lake Village Center and all the other village centers, Oakland Mills, across 29. It's not easy. It's absolutely not easy work, but it's really critical work for a community to continue to thrive. What I've told people is, the only thing I know is that it's unacceptable to have that vacant, giant grocery store site as long as it sat here. That, to me, was unacceptable. And so the fact that we're now here, moving forward with a new vision as to how we reinvest in the Wilde Lake Village Center in Columbia and in Howard County, to me is a great, great day. And I look forward to sitting out here eating at David's and outdoor cafe tables. I want to compliment you and thank you for taking control of the gas station site and the site to my left here, because as I was talking, the fact is it was easier for the Rouse Company when they had control of all the moving parts. So the more that can be brought into the plan, the better chance we have that it all works together. So that took added dollars and added investment on your part, which is a real sign of the faith that you've put in this project. So again, thank you. Thanks to everyone for the role that each and every one of you played in getting us to this point. Now let's start building something great and come back and cut some ribbons and spend some money as soon as when are we going to be open? Well, we're ready with the permits. Let's, so thank you all very much.
Bill, if you're around, you did hear about the permits? Okay. Good to hear. The other thing that, as the county executive just mentioned, the one thing, as much as we all joke about how long this process has taken, and certainly it probably could have gone a little bit quicker, the one critical piece was the first time I met with Mary Kay Siggety, who's the councilwoman for this area. It was really important to make sure each of the village, each of the community groups, the village board, were all very much engaged. And I got to tell everybody, this is not eating my words here, but it is important for everybody to understand, as long as this process is taken, I do believe that because of many of the meetings that we did have and what the plan looks like today is better than what was introduced 5.5 years ago. So this plan has evolved because of a lot of people's involvement, from the planning department, from the elected officials, and from the village itself. This is not a shy village. They have an opinion, they will share it with you. So with that, I'm going to ask Mary Kay Siggety to talk about her village.
He is indeed correct. It is not a shy village. He did not mention that many of the folks who live in the village were here at the opening of the village center originally. And remember, as I do, the butcher shop, the cheese shop, the pharmacy, run by neighbors, all of the things, and, oh, by the way, the state-of-the-art giant. Imagine that. We had the state-of-the-art giant here when it opened. well, those days have passed, but people have a long memory and things that they really care about, and I stand in front of you to say, my neighbors, let us all know about it. But I'm actually here because from the council, and I would like to recognize our chair, Jen Terrassa, is here with us, and Courtney Watson is here with us as well. And what you may not realize is we would not be here if these two women and my two other colleagues did not pass the legislation that allowed this to happen. We wouldn't be here. And oftentimes the council is very quiet in the background, but in this particular case, we were very quiet, but it allowed it to happen. Jen and I were talking about this, how we went to every single village with a piece of legislation to talk every one of them into supporting a future for Columbia. It wasn't just coming here. It was every single one of them that we had to get on board so that people could imagine into the future what their communities would look like, and so that we would build a process that Jeff had to carry out that gave people a level of comfort that their community would reflect them and would meet the needs that they saw and would be unique to them. So, thank you to my colleagues. Jeff, I think we did a good job, even though it took you 5.5 years. I would like to say that actually all of this began when I was on the village board 10 years ago. And when we had a village center community, because we knew the giant was going to leave. So this, for me, has been a 10-year process. And so for all of the folks over time who've helped us through this, I stand here today to thank you. And I think I, more than many, really want to see this thing come out of the ground. So with that, please make it happen.
Thank you. And the entire council throughout this process has been incredibly cooperative and have been a pleasure to be working with. You know, sometimes we may not have all agreed, but we all worked through it and got to a conclusion that we were all comfortable with. The next process here that was very interesting is each village center has a village board. The village board winds up voting themselves in place every year. So as we talk about a 5.5-year process, we also had about 6 different boards with multiple members, multiple chair people. Some were strong advocates from the beginning. Some were questioning what was happening from the beginning, and some were naysayers from the beginning. But when it's all said and done, we all were able to work together. And then presently we have Joyce Ardo, who is the co-chair of the village board, and she was there when we finally got this approved, and I believe you were chair last year. So she's been willing to take on the chairmanship 2 consecutive years, and that says a lot. You know, twice a month she gets this crowd. So once again, Joyce, I'd like you to, if you'd like to say a few words.
As co-chair of the Wilde Lake Village Board, we want to express our incredible excitement about the redevelopment of our community and the redevelopment of our village center. And we want to thank everyone that's been involved over this long, long period. Everyone that's been on the village board, everyone that's come to a meeting, all the village staff, past and present. And we want to express our gratitude to Kimco for hanging in there in this process. It's been a long process, sometimes contentious, but we're there, and that's what's so exciting. We're very, very proud to see this come to fruition, very happy, and we want to thank Kimco for sticking with our community and believing in us. Thank you.
And finally, I would like to at least allow one of our partners on this project, because as Kimco is focused on doing retail across the country, and we have a very large presence in Howard County, about 2.5 million square foot of retail just in Howard County. We don't do residential, so it was very important for us to reach out to the residential development group to find the appropriate partner who would wind up coming in, giving a product that we could be proud of, could be part of our center. After a long, lengthy interview process, we selected Wood Partners. They are a national organization that does apartments product across the country. I have the director of the Mid-Atlantic region here, Scott Zimmerly, for him to give you a couple of words about him coming to, what made him want to come to Wilde Lake, and a little bit about the Wood Partner Group.
Hi, again, as Jeff said, Scott Zimmerly with Wood Partners, and I was thinking, as I was sitting there, what to say. I had a few thoughts, but as everyone said how long this has taken, I have to admit that Wood Partners has been involved, we think, a very long time, but it's only been probably 2 years now. And we can't be more excited to see that dirt sitting right there about to move. So I can tell you from being involved for 2 years and from being from Howard County, that the collaboration and the support led by Kimco from the county, from the local community here all the way up to the top, from Ken Ulman, has been outstanding. And as Kimco said, or as Jeff said, you know, they brought in Wood Partners 2 years ago after speaking with a lot of apartment developers. So we're honored and thankful to be a part of this process. We are national. We're ranked #2 largest in the nation last year, #1 the year before. So we do this all the time. And I can tell you, we also typically lead the process doing redevelopments of town centers like this. And Kimco, with its team, has done an outstanding job and just makes us feel more excited that we can put our Class A, approximately 250 units, luxury apartments in the shopping center. The way they laid it out, they couldn't have done a better job, and it just makes our community probably be even more successful. So I can tell you, from a large private national developer, Kimco has done an outstanding job with what they've ended up here, and that's largely been driven from the input from a lot of folks sitting here. Beyond that, I can tell you it's particularly important to me. I'm actually from Howard County, K through 12 at the Glen Oak Country School, and had many birthday parties at Splash Down over there. And then breakfast, lunch, and dinner at what used to be a Roy Rogers right there. So I can tell you, I can tell you I know the shopping center well, and the way it's been redesigned, we're very excited that it's going to be a very vibrant and exciting place to be again, which it once was. And when are we starting? We're hoping year end, but if not, first quarter next year, you'll see a beautiful luxury apartment building over here that's going to raise the bar for this community and I think Howard County. And I encourage you to look at Regency Crest and Ellicott City that we built. If you want to see what Class A product means, that's what we do. So thanks Kimco for having us and as a partner, and thank you to the whole community for supporting this, and it's going to be great.
So with that, I'm going to ask the players that I've asked before we started this process this morning to join me over for the groundbreaking photo with a shovel and hard hat, and we'll take a couple of photos, and then I invite everybody to stay for, you know, coffee, bagels. There's plenty of food over there. Please eat afterwards. Take something with you if you'd like. And once again, I'd like to thank everybody, and we look forward to the next. It is going to be a year and a half worth of construction out here. So just everybody, we're excited about it. It's coming, but we're going to work through it together. Thank you very much.